Okay, we are here at our June 5th, 2019 Concord Township Board of Trustees meeting. I will call that meeting to order, and please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, roll call.
Mr. Malcheski,
Present.
Mrs. Luda. Here. Mr. Dondorfer.
Present.
Okay, we have first up the swearing in of our firefighters, and so I'm going to ask Mr. Dondorfer to stand, and then we have our two firefighters, and how about whatever your family members that need to take pictures, why don't you position yourself appropriately? So wherever you need to go, and we'll do them one at a time. And then whoever's got the camera, you tell us where you need to go. Feel free to go wherever you want to go. I don't want to be blamed as a bad picture.
Okay, we're ready? Please raise your right hand and repeat after me. I state your name.
I, Leonard Meek,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States of America.
that
That I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States of America
I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States of America
and the state of Ohio
and the state of Ohio
against all enemies, both foreign and domestic.
against all enemies, both foreign and domestic,
And I will faithfully and impartially
and I will faithfully and impartially
discharge my duties as firefighter
discharge my duties as firefighter
of the Concord Township Fire Department
of the Concord Township Fire Department
under the appointment of the department
under the appointment of the department
according to the laws of Ohio, County of Lake, Township of Concord,
according to the laws of Ohio, County of Lake, and Township of Concord,
to the best of my skills and abilities,
to the best of my skills and abilities.
so help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations. Okay, please raise your right hand and repeat after me. I state your name.
I, Jesse Sullivan,
Do solemnly swear
solemnly swear
that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States of America
that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States of America
and the state of Ohio
and the state of Ohio
against all enemies, both foreign and domestic.
against all enemies, both foreign and domestic.
And I will faithfully and impartially
I will faithfully and impartially
discharge my duties as firefighter
discharge my duties as firefighter
of the Concord Township Fire Department
of the Concord Township Fire Department
under the appointment of the department
under the appointment of the department
according to the laws of Ohio, County of Lake, Township of Concord,
according to the laws of Ohio, County of Lake, Township of Concord,
to the best of my skills and abilities,
to the best of my skills and abilities,
so help me God.
so help me God.
Congratulations. Awesome.
Yes, sir. Mr. Chairman, will you dismiss them?
They're dismissed.
Thank you.
Everybody can go have cake.
Thank you,
I
gentlemen.
want to thank you guys very much. Really appreciate it.
Did we exceed the capacity of the room?
I think we saw.
Yeah, we did
I'm not sure if it counts when they're all firefighters, you know?
Because they could say this if there was.
They could stay in the Senate.
I'm watching.
What happened?
Okay, we have approval of minutes, May 15th, 2019, public hearing, and the May 15th regular trustees meeting. Any corrections, changes, additions that
No.
weren't caught? Okay, then we will approve those minutes. Elected officials report, fiscal officer.
Thank you, Mr. Milczewski. As of May 31st, we were 41% of the way through the calendar year. I think that might be 42%. The treasury balance for the 19 active funds within the township treasury was $5.6 million. The treasury balance includes $1.3 million in funds set aside for specific projects. Year-to-date expenditures were 30% of the amount appropriated, and revenue is currently 49% that we've received for 2019, so we are well within budget. The last meeting, we spoke of the county holding back property taxes. Lake County does not hold back property taxes. That was a misunderstanding between myself and the former county auditor. I have now been given the correct information from Mr. Galloway's staff, and I would like to state that for the record. Finally, due to recent input from several residents, you can now go on to the fiscal officer page on www.concordtwp.com and access revenue funding sources. If you have any other questions, please do not hesitate to call my office, 354-7516.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Connie, anything to report?
I had a call about the zoning amendment from a resident, but we'll take care of that at the proper
Okay.
time.
Okay. Carl?
Only thing I had a call from a resident regarding some water drainage issue that Frank and I will be looking at next week. We'll be going out to meet with him on Tuesday afternoon about 1 o'clock. It shouldn't be an issue, but other than that, I have nothing.
Okay. I don't have anything significant to report, so we'll just move on to the department reports. Administration, Mr. Rose.
Thank you, Mr. Milczewski, members of the board, Mrs. Dawson, members of the audience, good evening. I would like to start off by welcoming our college intern, Hannah Brentar. Hannah, where are you? Stand up. Hannah started with us this past Monday. She's a Concord resident. She's currently attending Edinburgh University. We're happy to have her, and she's already hit the ground running and taking care of some really cool projects. So we appreciate you being here, and I just wanted to introduce her to the community. Thank you. I'll start off with a few notes from our cemetery sexton. Thank you to everyone who participated and or attended the Memorial Day ceremony. Regarding plantings, just a reminder that no plantings are allowed in the 2004 in-ground cremation section, and no trees are allowed to be planted in the 2004 section. If you want to put a tree and or shrubbery, you must give us the type and location, and it has to be approved by the cemetery sexton prior to being planted. And then just another reminder about prohibited items: glass of any kind, styrofoam, bird houses, and bird feeders are prohibited in our cemetery. For more specific details, the rules and regulations are posted at the entrance to the cemetery. They're posted on our website under Departments and Cemetery, and you can contact the cemetery sexton, Karen Warner, at 440-354-7518 if you have any questions regarding the rules of the cemetery. Moving on to the rest of the administrator's report, there are two PO votes for demolition. One is the dwelling just east of the cemetery, and the other is for the dwelling behind Fire Station 2. We own both of those structures. We will be reimbursed 50% of the cost by the Lake County Land Reutilization Corporation, otherwise known as the Lake County Land Bank, once those demolitions are complete. The house to the east of the cemetery is for cemetery expansion that will probably be known as the 2019 section. And then the house on North Meadow behind Station 2 is being torn down for future Fire Station 2 work. There's also a vote. There's also a PO vote for painting. We have arranged for exterior building maintenance and painting of our community center and our gazebo. There will be some minor repairs made prior to the repainting of each structure. This is part of our ongoing maintenance to prolong the usefulness of our buildings and structures. And thanks to Deb Esker, she did a lot of good legwork, interviewing various companies and soliciting bids, and she got us a really nice price to do both. We continue to have discussions with the Lake County Sheriff's Office for our next contract. Negotiations are going very well. I anticipate a contract vote at our next meeting. For everyone in the audience and watching online, I encourage you to please take a quick moment tomorrow to pause and reflect on the great sacrifices made by our armed forces on the 75th anniversary of D-Day, which is tomorrow. Tremendous effort, and it should continue to be remembered. Finally, I'm going to step on my soapbox for about 10 seconds. I've noticed a great deal of chatter on various social media platforms and blogs. Some of the information posted out there is wrong. Okay, I've had the opportunity to talk with several of our residents who have questions, who have posted information regarding fire stations, funding, road repairs, and other township-related matters. I encourage all residents that may have questions or concerns to contact me. I will be happy to discuss township business with you. Call me, make an appointment, email me, courier, pigeon, doesn't matter. I don't care what your opinion is. That doesn't matter to me. I just would appreciate that the information that is presented be accurate. I'm off my soapbox, and that concludes my report. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Fire Department, Chief Sable.
Good evening, everyone. For the month of May, we had a total of 232 events. We had 149 EMS events with 124 transports. We had 3 fire events, including 3 building fires outside of Concord. We had mutual aid. We provided mutual aid 17 times, and we received mutual aid 21 times. Our Fire Prevention Bureau was busy with 14 fire protection system testings, 4 fire alarm testing, 12 annual inspections, 4 plan reviews, and 3 consults. In addition to that, public education was out doing that. We had 2 public education events and 1 residential lockbox installation. I normally don't read from anywhere during my report, but this evening I will. I would like to take a few minutes to update everyone on the progress of the fire station project. It's important to me to provide the community with a brief history of the existing fire stations. Both facilities were dedicated in the mid-1960s, and both have undergone several remodels focused initially on expanding paramedic coverage in the township. With the exception of the addition to Station 2 in 1998 and the major remodel of Station 1 in 2001, much of the work inside the walls of the firehouses has been done in-house by our staff on a very limited budget. In 2017, Concord Township hired the Ohio Fire Chiefs Association for a fire station feasibility and location analysis. In that report, the opinion was that the existing stations have outlived their usefulness as fire stations and recommended replacement of both facilities. Additionally, based on response time estimates, they recommended that a watchful eye be placed on future needs for a Station 3. However, there are currently no plans to add a 3rd station. Early in 2018, the township took the next step and published a request for qualifications from architecture firms. Firms from across the country submitted their qualifications, and the township selected LeMay Erickson Wilcox Architects, who have extensive background in the design of fire stations. After the architect was selected, we began the first steps of design to establish our space needs. We have response vehicles located away and secured from the fire stations and take considerable amount of time to deploy. Our second deuce squad is located in the service department garage, and our off-road rescue vehicle is located in the red barn across from Station 1, along with much of our equipment and documents. Our Fire Prevention Bureau, located in a residential house next to Station 2, has its own limitations and expense. Our structural firefighting gear is located in a contaminated area of the fire station and does not have the opportunity to properly off-gas. At Station 1, the firefighters live on the 2nd floor and must navigate stairs to get to the apparatus floor. This not only hinders our response to an emergency, but is also a safety concern for responding firefighters. In order to accommodate the potential footprint of a new Station 2 at its current location, we saw a need to acquire the property on North Meadow directly behind the Fire Prevention Bureau. The Deputy Chief and I approached the property owner to have a discussion about the possibility of the township purchasing her property. We were all fortunate with timing in that she was in the process of putting her house on the market when we had that initial discussion. As you will likely see, this project remains a work in progress. We have received a cost estimate based on the latest renditions of both fire stations. We will continue to run programming sessions with the architect to make sure we are making effective use of the space, reducing the overall impact to the campus, and be fiscally responsible in our planning. Once this is complete, we will request an updated cost estimate on the overall project. Over the last 3 years, I have educated myself by attending national fire station design conferences, and I have learned that this is one of the most expensive projects any community will ever endure. As a resident of Concord Township myself, I respect the fact that this is a huge ask of the community and do not take it lightly, as it also affects my personal budgeting. A working fire station includes elements such as staging of fire and EMS apparatus, living and working spaces for the firefighters, and administrative and fire prevention space. During a natural or man-made disaster, there is an expectation that the fire station and personnel remain functional. This project is focused on using materials that are durable and sustainable with the expectation that they will last 50 to 75 years. Today's fire station design considerations include cancer reduction, behavioral health, reduced response times, gender neutrality, as well as compliance with ADA regulations. I encourage everyone to read the facility assessment and fire station location analysis completed by the Ohio Fire Chiefs Association, located on the Concord Township website. I cannot thank the community enough for their continued support of Concord Township Fire Department. For many years, we have done what we had to do to get by, whether it be in terms of facilities, equipment, or personnel. And we continue to be adaptive to the growth of the township and the needs of those we serve. I regularly remind my staff that my door remains open to them. Today, I extend the same invitation to the residents and businesses of Concord Township. I invite you all to come and visit the fire stations and answer any of your, give us the opportunity to answer any of your questions regarding this project or fire department operations and activities. Concord Township Recreation Department is hosting a presentation of the history of Concord Township Fire Department on June 22nd at 3 o'clock at the Old Stone Schoolhouse. Immediately following that presentation and continuing until 5 o'clock, Station 1 will be open for tours. This gives you your first glance at the challenges that we face on a daily basis. During Community Days on August 10th, Station 1 will be open for tours from 1 to 3. On August 11th, from 11 to 2, Concord Fire Department will be hosting its annual Safety Day. This is a great opportunity to check out our equipment and meet your firefighters and paramedics. These are all opportunities for the community to stop in, ask questions, and see firsthand what our challenges are in our current facilities. I appreciate your time, and that concludes my report.
Thank you, Chief.
Thanks, Chief.
Service Department, Mr. Kraska.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Concord Township Service Department in May has been active both in-house and with related improvement projects. Even though the month of May saw an above average amount of precipitation, most projects progressed undeterred. Chagrin Valley Paving completed road improvements on the following county roads: Girdle Road from Route 608 to 44, and Morley Road from Pinecrest to Hoos Road. In addition, our Township Road program, which included Concord Point Court, Danvers Drive, and the entire Brunel Drive development, were also completed by Chagrin Valley Paving, along with specialized construction. 3 bioretention islands are in development stage on Concord Point, Arbor Glen, and Ashley Lane. These 3 environmental improvements will eliminate 3,117 square feet of non-essential, non-porous, and paved surfaces. As little as it seems, it shows that Concord Township is progressively thinking of how not only to develop our community, but also how to make our community sustainable in the future. Through the introduction of environmental practices, stormwater drainage will be both cleaner before it enters Lake Erie and will help mitigate its flow to prevent rapid runoff, erosion, and overburden of our watershed. The trees and foliage that we add to these islands helps absorb and slow rainfall runoff, takes away the heat factor of a fully paved cul-de-sac, and absorbs carbon monoxide to help clean the air that we breathe. Residents, developers, and commercial tenants in our community should also consider how they might better attribute to the future of Concord Township. Sustaining Concord's countryside character through individual contributions on their properties through landscaping and proactive environmental solutions will better serve the community now rather than scrambling later to retrieve us from neglectful thinking. Getting back to our activities, the Christian Avenue, Jason Avenue road replacement projects are well underway. With the help of an Ohio Public Works grant, Trimore Construction is replacing over 9,000 square yards of roadway, stabilizing the subsurface and adding a drainage system that will improve its long-term capacity. This work will carry well into August, and the township would like to commend the residents for their wherewithal as they face the many difficulties and inconveniences that go along with a project of this magnitude. Concord Township crews are currently replacing concrete road sections on Yellowwood Trail and will follow that with a similar work on Stone Hollow Road. We have been cleaning roadside ditches per request, completed our roadside mowing and weed whipping schedule, and have been busy with various duties at the cemetery. This Saturday, June 8th, we will be holding a brush and yard waste drop-off that is scheduled from 8 a.m. until 2 p.m. The service department will have personnel on hand to assist residents at our facility located at 7229 Ravenna Road. Department employees will help offload brush and yard waste as residents arrive at the collection center. Brush that is dropped off will be chipped and made available to the residents on a first-come, first-served basis. Yard waste is collected and taken to a local recycle center and composted. Only limbs, twigs, and branches are no greater than 6 inches in diameter will be accepted. Yard waste will only be accepted in biodegradable bags or small containers that can be dumped. No tree stumps, pallets, contaminated materials, or processed wood such as lumber or railroad ties are accepted. In addition, we have recently begun to allow residents to drop off yard waste on weekdays at the service department Monday through Friday, 6 a.m. until 4 p.m. for such materials as grass clippings, leaves, garden debris, small twigs. And I want to mention that no contractors are permitted to be dumping here. It's just for the residents and their private use at their homes. Brush will not be accepted at this site on weekdays. In closing, we extend to our residents a reminder that if you have any questions regarding services provided by our department or have observations that you may want to report to our department, you can find contact numbers and other related material under the Service Department tab at Concord website, www.concordtwp.com, or call our office directly at 440-350-3225. And that is our report for this evening.
Thanks,
Thank
Frank.
you.
Thanks.
Zoning Department, Heather.
Hello. Okay, so during the month of May, the zoning department has been busy with issuing zoning permits. We processed 37 applications and collected just over $6,000 in fees. Of those permits, 10 were for new single-family dwellings, 9 accessory buildings, 8 fences, 5 decks, 2 residential additions, 1 structural alteration, change of use, and a parking lot alteration. Last night, the zoning commission met. They conditionally approved a site plan review application for a new auto body collision shop that's going to be located just south of Town Hall here at 7505 Ravenna Road. So that'll be a nice addition to the community. And next week, the BZA will hold their meeting at 7 p.m. The detailed agenda can be found on the Concord Township website. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Deb, what's going on in the recreation department?
A whole lot, a whole lot. Good evening, everybody.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Rick, you want to fire up the PowerPoint? Welcome summer. The sun's shining and we all look forward to lazy summer days as we kick back, enjoy life, and do fun stuff. And you are in luck because I happen to know a thing or two about fun stuff in Concord. I'm happy to report that the Concord Township Recreation Department has planned some interesting and enjoyable classes and events in June. This month's classes include our summer art camp, soccer tots camp, youth tennis camps, plural, pound, that exercise class that uses weighted drumsticks on Monday evenings, martial arts classes on Tuesday and Thursday evenings, yoga Pilates fusion on Wednesdays, Tai Chi also on Wednesdays, and life skills for teens classes where teenagers can learn to change a tire, interview for their first job, balance a bank account, and other life skills that will make their lives and your lives a bit easier. We're also offering a stained glass photo frame class where students select their own glass, they learn how to solder it and create a work of art. And for those about to retire, we once again offer our Getting Started with Medicare class. To sign up, just go to concordtwp.com, click on Community Recreation Registration, or simply call the Recreation Department for immediate assistance. This afternoon, our 55-plus group listened to a moving tribute to soldiers who fought in the Normandy invasion. And as Mr. Rose said earlier, this marks the 75th year of the anniversary of D-Day. Today's program was a gentle reminder to keep all soldiers, past and present, in your prayers, and please thank a veteran. The next 55 group gathering is an evening get-together on Monday, June 10th from 6 to 8 p.m. at the Community Center, where Rebecca McFarland takes us back in time and tells us the story of the Great Lakes Exposition. Then on June 19th, we're going to make you an offer you can't refuse, which is a seat at Dennis Sutcliffe's presentation on the life and times of Danny Green, who started a mob war that earned Cleveland the title of Bomb City, USA. And on June 22nd, everyone is invited to a special presentation by our own fire chief, Matt Zabo, and retired fire chief Dick Terriaco on the history of the Concord Township Fire Department. You can learn all about the fire department from its humble beginnings to its future plans designated to keep us all safe and healthy. This special event takes place at Concord's charming Old Stone School just down the road, and artifacts of the fire department history will be on display. And as Chief said earlier, immediately afterward, there's an open house at Fire Station 1. Seating is limited, so please call today to reserve your spot. And now that the kids are out of school and the temperature is rising, it's time to grab your lawn chairs and head outside for the summer concerts under the stars. Concord Jams is what we're calling our summer concert series, and it starts June 13th with the Blackjack Gypsies. They're a retro rock and roll band with tunes from Santana, the Rolling Stones, Aretha Franklin, Fleetwood Mac. On June 20th, Horse Feathers entertains with hits from bands like the Eagles and Darius Rucker, Pure Prairie League, and Eddie Cochran. On June 27th, the Family Dog Band sings blues and folk tunes inspired by Johnny Cash, Willie Nelson, and the Allman Brothers. And as a special edition that evening, the Lake County Humane Society is going to bring a couple of furry, four-legged friends to make the evening a little bit more memorable with the Family Dog Band. On July 11th, the Pop-Tarts pay tribute to your favorite girl groups of the 60s like the Chiffons, the Shirelles, and the Marvelettes. And then Abbey Rodeo is back on July 18th with songs from the Beatles, the Hollies, and Roy Orbison. And June 28th, the Chardon Polka Band proves that polka is everybody's business, playing songs inspired by Frankie Yankovic, the Polkaholics, and, of course, Bernie Goydish from his Polka Till You Drop album. True? Good stuff. All concerts are Thursday evenings that begin at 7 p.m. at the gazebo on the campus of Town Hall. And if a concert is canceled due to inclement weather, we'll post it on the Township's Facebook page by 6 p.m. that evening, and we'll place signs at the gazebo. Come hungry because Nick's Gyros and East Coast Custard are back, and there will also be a couple of jewelry vendors selling their handmade pieces of art, really. The Concord Township wishes to shout out mightily to our generous concert sponsors. The 2019 Summer Concert Series was made possible by an essential grant from NOPEC, with kind donations from Comedic Gasket on Auburn Road right here in Concord Township and CT Consultants on Sterling Court in Mentor. So we thank them for helping us make the magic happen. Save the date for the weekend of August 10th and 11th for 2 days of family fun. Concord Community Day is Saturday, August 10th, and promises a family-friendly good time. Due to some very necessary road repairs, we will not have a community parade this year, but instead, we're planning a high-energy kickoff event at noon, and we added a car and truck show to our lineup. Kids World is back, as well as our legendary Chinese raffle. Enjoy live music all day, food trucks, craft beer, and wine at Uncorked, and then settle in for our annual fireworks show to end the day. And then on Sunday, August 11th, the fire department will host its annual safety day on the Town Hall campus. Tour Fire Station 1, meet the dogs of the Big Creek Search and Rescue Team, check out a ladder truck, enjoy a free lunch, and so much more. Planning is seriously underway for both events, so if you'd like to be involved, we would love to hear from you. Applications for Community Day scholarships are online, as well as nomination forms for Citizen of the Year. They're all available on our website or can be picked up at the community center or right here at Town Hall, right outside. Just contact the Recreation Department to volunteer, to donate, to sponsor, or for more details. And we continue to seek Concord history to include in our upcoming Images of America book, currently being written about Concord Township in honor of our bicentennial coming up in 2022. Please consider sharing your old photos and other historical items depicting life in Concord throughout our past 197 years so far. And a special shout out to the Garden Club. The Recreation Department sends a heartfelt thank you to the Garden Club for their generosity and hard work every year in beautifying the grounds of the Community Center, Town Hall, campus, Concord Hills Park, and Concord Cemetery. And Mr. Rowe is also, I know, is very indebted to them. These ladies bring beauty and charm to our gardens, and they are themselves beautiful flowers in our garden of life. So we thank them. For more information on all Recreation Department programs, just contact us at 440-639-4650, visit concordtwp.com, or stop by the Community Center at 7671 Auburn Road to tell us what you think. Tell us what you like. Give us an idea of the direction you'd like us to go, and for any personal assistance, we can sign you up for classes on the spot. So thank you very much for your time and attention.
Thank you, Deborah.
Thank you, Deborah. Okay, Concord Law Enforcement, Chief Liam Bruno.
May was busy. We had 1,288 events that were handled by law enforcement. We've been active in working on the traffic patterns here in Concord. In monitoring traffic, we issued 159 warnings and 27 citations to drivers. We also found 3 drivers driving under suspension during that period. 2 were found operating under the influence, so 2 DUIs. We had 11 injury accidents in Concord and 16 property damage accidents. We made a number of arrests. We had a male and a female, separate occasions, arrested on felony warrants. We had 3 drug arrests, 1 domestic violence of a juvenile female, and 1 female was arrested for menacing by stalking. We responded to 55 alarms in the township. We conducted 172 business checks in open businesses, doing security checks, checking with the owners there. We did 155 crime prevention visits where we located open doors, lights on inside of vehicles, went to construction sites to cut down on some of the thefts there. We have a number of new investigations. We are investigating 2 assaults, 2 residential burglaries, 13 disturbance calls. Unfortunately, there were 2 DOAs in Concord Township that we responded to, 4 calls for domestic violence, 8 mental health issues where we attended to people dealing with stress and got them assistance. We were called 80 times to look in. People saw suspicious vehicles, suspicious people, and we responded to those. We have 5 theft investigations. We responded to 46 traffic complaints where people were complaining about reckless drivers, and we did 13 welfare checks in Concord during the month of May. So it was a busy month. This weekend, St. Gabriel's will be holding the St. Gabriel's Church Festival, which means a lot of traffic on 84 up by St. Gabriel. So we caution everybody Thursday night, Friday night, all day Saturday, all day Sunday. Expect traffic delays going through that area. Be cautious for people crossing the street from the parking areas. On Tuesday, I'll be going to Fairport Senior Centers to work with them on elder abuse. And the reason I mention that is all of us are used to social media today and using websites and Facebook and seeing a lot of the things that we post about concerns. But there's a lot of people who aren't familiar with technology. And I get calls every week recently. Probably the major one is concerning people calling that they're getting calls from Social Security. Number one, Social Security will not call you. But the recent scam is someone will call, say they're from Social Security, that they believe your information has been captured, and they encourage you to take out gift cards from all your savings and call them with the numbers of those gift cards, so they will safely keep your savings until this can be sorted out. Now, most people familiar with this would hang up or laugh at them, but unfortunately, there have been a number of people in our area who have given away their savings to these individuals, anywhere between $10,000 and $100,000. So I ask everybody who's familiar with technology, talk to people who are not, that you know. Explain to them some of these scams that are going on and caution them not to respond to them. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Chief.
That happens every day, I see it.
Yep, every day.
I got 2 of those calls. I've got the phone numbers too, in case
Yeah,
anybody
they're
wants them.
usually outside of the area or overseas.
Yeah.
Ghost number.
Okay, comes to the point of our meeting for audience portion, so we'll start over here in the first row, and we'll work our way through.
Hi, Denise Burster. I think I already did my address. I do have one question that's on the agenda that you may or may not discuss under new business C. Could you, I know you're going to vote on it, but could you clarify what that's about? It's about the Capitol Parkway and commissioners.
It's just, I mean, it's just a maintenance agreement, so it's how we're going to go ahead and maintain that portion of the roadway.
Oh.
So we'll expound upon that, but that's basically what it is.
Okay, all right. And I had a handout here. Yeah, you can pass this along.
Sure.
Because when you're talking information, sometimes it's easier to look at it, and it would help if I had my glasses.
I only want one. You can have
Okay. Everybody have one?
Oh,
I
I'm
had
sorry.
one for her too. Okay. All right. I think when the chief spoke earlier, he was talking about that we're still, you know, in the process of looking at the fire stations. And because it is a work in process, that's where my comments are coming from. Because you never know what piece of information might be helpful down the road as you work with the architects. And I had the opportunity last Saturday to just do some online research, check what's going on with recent fire stations that have either been built or are to be built. And so we have current information. Obviously, they represent a lot of different architects. But the main thing being that the square footages and the costs, they vary some, but most of them are in about the $4 million range. Obviously, the populations of the communities vary. And I didn't have a population for Cuyahoga because it's so big, it's just representing one station. So I didn't want to put down a big number there. But I guess in looking over the plan, and I wanted to show, I don't know if somebody wanted to hold these up, but the two stations, a lot of our people don't know how to get online. And so I wanted, Tom, if you could hold each one up. That's Fire Station 1. Okay. That would be the one that's here on 608 in Ravenna by the town hall. You can see the town hall on the left. All right, and then this is Fire Station 2, which would be on Prouty. I'm assuming it's fronting Prouty. Okay. So I just wanted to be able to show those so that people may not have had a chance to look at them. Obviously, they vary in size. And one of the things I wanted to point out in the discussions I've heard and what I've read is that the reason that the fire station is so large on this site, Fire Station 1, is because initially there was a second floor, and it's my understanding that the trustees have made a decision not to put an administrative center on the second floor of the firehouse. In talking to Andy, that's what I understood. So I don't know, but to basically take care of some issues in the town hall and then maybe add on to the town hall. And I think that's a great plan because this is a wonderful building, and if you look at the architecture of it, it almost begs for a symmetrical addition on the other side, and it would look very nice. So, you know, that's just something that, you know, I made an observation on. As far as the current situation, as the chief explained, they have things stored across in the red barn, correct? And then they have things stored at the road department, and then there's some problems within the department as it is. And I guess my concern is by trying to build one large newly constructed fire station to get everything under one roof, this is expensive storage space. So I guess I'm wondering, has it been considered that you have a fire station and the community room on top, which is now probably utilized obviously for the fire station personnel, to be able to adequately house these items and still be attached to a new fire station without having this, as the kids would say, a humongous building that's got a huge footprint and would cost $13 million. So I'm just putting it out there for consideration. And I know that we're using the architect that Beechwood used, and you know their project was $14 million. But I wanted to show some other communities what their projects went for. Lyndhurst is in the process. It's almost been a 5-year process where they've probably going to end up spending more, about $4.7 million on a 16,200 square foot building, which is, you know, bigger than the one on Prouty, but smaller than the one we want to build here. Because the one that's here would be 28,000 square feet. And that's a considerable size. There's no fire station that I could find that was that big. Akron, they just built a new one for 14,000 square feet, and it cost them $4.3 million. And they are getting ready to build another fire station because they built one at a time. And so that's how they were funding it. And they did it through a safety levy. And obviously, we have already passed a safety levy that's supposed to, you know, help pay continuously, because it was a continuous levy. So it will pay forever and ever the cost of police and fire. And so And I know those are budgeted out to certain things with fire, but, you know, it's just, I'm trying to let you know how it was paid for. Lyndhurst did a bond issue. And in doing that, they didn't want to do it the traditional way. What they did was they went to a bank sale, with one issue marketed to, that was marketed by the bank to get the investor. And they got a fixed 15-year bond issue. And what they did was they did the anytime call on it. So they got the full cost for their project, and they wanted to do that because they wanted to have all funds available. And then once the building is built, which they're just starting with their temporary, they're going to be tearing down, but they're going to have a temporary structure for the firefighters to be in the meantime, they could pay down a substantial amount, because what they did is, and this is what I want to ask, they are using a construction manager at risk. Is that built into this program or this proposal?
I can answer that question. Yes, it is. That is baked into this for
Okay.
construction manager at risk. I've worked 2 other projects in other
Right.
communities. The
Mhm.
larger of the 2 projects, we have a construction manager at risk, yes.
Right. And a lot of the school districts do that as well. It's my understanding Riverside did it, Willoughby Eastlake did it, and Lyndhurst is doing it. And then going on to another community, Green, they're funding it with the city. They're building a 13,000 square foot building, and about $4.5 million. So again, it's another example of being in the mid $4 million range. And Cuyahoga was another example. Cuyahoga Falls, they built theirs for $2.5 million for 14,000 square feet. I don't know, you know, other than the rendering you see online, but, you know, we also have Aurora, $4 million for a 10,500 square foot building. So the thing to note is that, you know, the Lyndhurst one has an upstairs. They did not have the real estate to be able to spread it out, but sometimes when you do that, it's a bigger footprint and it costs more money. So in order to cost save, they did put a second story on, and that story is where most of their residence is going to be, and that's where they're going to have, part of that is going to be wood. And one of the concerns or feedback that I've had is that this particular structure really doesn't meld with the town hall. Just passing that along for what I heard. But it is nice to be able to look at the design aspect of that. And again, in Akron, they built one station, and now that one is done, they have plans to go on to another station. So they did one at a time. So I didn't know what the timeline was. But I guess because it's right now $5 million for Prouty, and for 12,500 square feet, and $13 million for Route 608 for 28,000 square feet, without the administration building attached up above, it's still totaling $18 million. And Beechwood's cost was $14 million, and it is the same architect. So I guess I would just say, from experience in construction, and I know, Andy, you have a lot too, you know, they work for you. And there are ways, like all of these communities that I talk to, there are ways to get the costs down. And that $13 million price tag is really sticking. And so I guess I would just ask if we could look at it, be a little more fiscally responsible, try to see if there are ways that we can cut costs, definitely explore the bond thing, because the continuous levy, I'm going to have a hard time supporting it, and I totally support our fire department. But I can't keep paying for a fire department that's paid for, and then I have to keep paying for it forever. And we already have a continuous levy for roads, and we just passed a 4 mil levy for the fire and safety. And so we're paying for that forever. And remember, we're also paying for the school levies, and we just had a rise in property tax. I think People are starting to get a lot more conscious about how much it's costing them to live. And when you even have the Federal Reserve saying they're going to roll things back because the economy's not looking too good, and they might do it a second time and a third time, I just want to appeal to the trustees to explore every option.
Okay.
And I've given you a few to check out.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much.
All right.
Anybody in row 2?
Hello, I'm Tom Hack. I live at 11575 Fay Road. And I just had some things to say along the lines of what was said before between the chief and what Ms. Brewster just said. So I'm just going to kind of summarize what information I have and try to be more succinct. But basically, in the last 2 years, between the plans for the administration building and for the fire stations, there have been 5 iterations in the last 2 years between looking at a third fire station up at near Auburn Career Center and changes to the existing structure. We've been bouncing around for 5 different iterations in just the last 2 years. Additionally, the trustees, the township has spent about $15 million on the road changes at Capitol Parkway, as well as buying property in the JED. Clearly, we need to figure out how to make this economical for all the parties in Concord, including the voters and the taxpayers. Everybody wants a safe community. Everybody wants a fire department that works, but we also want to do it in a way that is cost effective. And the bottom line is, when you have 5 changes, in just 2 years, it seems to me that there really is no plan, that you're just bouncing around from one idea to the next, and to ask for a continuous levy when you're bouncing around that much, that is really a huge ask. And in essence, just for people who are not familiar with a continuous levy, is for a continuing period of time, which means that, or a continuous period of time, it means that you would get the money, and every single board of trustees from this point forward would get the money as well, without the voter ever having a chance to get a say again. And that's just wrong, in my opinion. I would echo what Ms. Brewster said, that let's try to be economical. It sounds like the current plan is to modify this building to accommodate the changes that are necessary from an administrative perspective. Let's look at keeping the existing number 1 fire station and add another one for $4 million, and then making changes on the Prouty Road one as well. But let's be reasonable. Let's definitely conserve money and provide value. Let's make it work for everyone. The other thing I would say is that I do think that there clearly has got to be money from the JED that can be utilized. My understanding is the Capitol Parkway was $13 million. We had debt for that. We paid it off early. There's clearly some cash flow that I think can be applied here. And the other thing that I'm familiar with is that when you have a continuous levy, you are able, and I think that's what Ms. Brewster alluded to as well, you are able to issue debt on it because it's a continuous period of time. They'll issue debt. This is another way of minimizing the exposure of new tax money to the taxpayers in Concord, and still coming up with the solution, the end state that we all want. So I really think that the fact that we've bounced around so much, it really calls into question whether or not we should invest so much money in something that frankly, there's no plan. You're bouncing around. You're just like almost throwing spaghetti against the wall and seeing what sticks. So with that, I thank you for your time. And again, I want to say we want to have a safe and effective fire department, but boy, we really want to do it in a way that's cost effective and works for everyone. Thank you very much.
Anyone from row 2 or 3? 4? Anybody else on this side wants to speak? Come on up.
Good evening. evening. Linda Kangas, 7061 Cascade Road. And the possibility of a continuous levy is not something that I want to even have as part of the levy that might come forward for the fire station. And I and all of our neighbors want the best for the fire station. We want updated equipment, updated housing, and we also think that if what I had heard, $18 million for the 2 firehouse projects, it's a lot. And we look forward to your reevaluating how this will be paid for, rather than coming to the community with a continuous levy. And that's a very scary thing, a continuous levy. We've had some in the past, we have some now, and I want to ask that this not come on with the levy as a continuous payment project. The people just can't keep taking that much from their own purchase, pockets to purchase. But we look forward to what you're planning, what you're building, what the architect is doing for us, and we appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, anybody else on the other side want to speak?
Good evening. Bob Patterson, 10940 Girdle Road, Concord Township. I have to agree with Andy. I met with Andy this afternoon, and he's right. We want accuracy, and we want to be factual in what we do. And I put out a blast on a Neighborhood Watch website a couple days ago about this project. And some of the information I had was wrong. I said we're taking millions a year in from the JED. Okay? That's not quite true. It's more like $750,000. And I told Andy I would get another blast out correcting it. We had a long discussion about a lot of things in his office today. And one of the things that came up that I think is critical, really crucial, and that's when a levy is put on the ballot, the Concord Township, Concordians I call them, rely on the trust of the trustees. They say we got our trustees in office. We have to believe they're doing a good job. We have to believe what they say, you know. And I believed that when I was trustee. But let me take you back to 2007, this Baker study. When the trustees after I was out of office, they wanted to put the Capitol Parkway project together. And Jim Gills and the Lake County Engineering Office had Baker do a study that showed option 7, which is what they recommended, Auburn Road going across State Route 44, Cryle Road coming up to Auburn Road with left and right turns. And the reason they thought that was okay is because the new Capitol Parkway would reduce traffic by 40%, 30 or 40%, I forgot what the detail was, in their study. That's 2007. It's exactly what I think most Concordians wanted. But in 2008, a revised plan was put forth, paid for by our Concord trustees, $16,900. I think Amy gave me that figure years ago. I didn't bring this up until now because I didn't want to discredit the trustees, but what do we have to believe in here in Concord Township? The option that they had stopped you from turning left from Cryle Road onto Auburn. You have to make a right-hand turn. It stopped you from going, a critical artery, stopped you from going across State Route 44. That's a major change. When I confronted Jim Gills, the Lake County engineer, I said, well, why did you let them change a county road? It's a county road. His answer was, at that point, the trustees were treated as developers, so that county backed away completely from the whole project. So now it's and to Tom Heck's point, what kind of plan did we have? What are we going to do? Now we have traffic that was diverted from Auburn Road, down Cryle, over to Capitol Parkway, and here's a true story. I don't want to mention his name, but he was with the Lake County Health Department for many years. He had a family emergency on a snowstorm night in Concord, and the new changes were put in. He had a very difficult time going down Cryle, over to Capitol Parkway, back up Auburn Road, when all he had to do was go across State Route 44, 100 feet, to the hospital. You know, whose idea was that to change that? And then why, after meeting, did I hear our trustees say, ODOT required it? Well, ODOT didn't require it. Under the Freedom of Information Act, ODOT gave me this information I gave to Andy today. If they can answer that question, we can regain our faith in our trustees. But right now, I'm with Tom. It looks like we throw spaghetti against the wall, and and it's not working out. This conversation came up yesterday with another person who's here tonight. That why would you do that? And the only answer I can come up with is when I was trustee and Connie was with me in the meeting, Mr. Ryder came up in our pre-office meeting and said he was really happy. He's going to open up his new store. He worked for years. He wanted to do it because the traffic came over 3,000 cars a day. The bank would give him the loan. I thought, that's great. Bring it on. Well, there's very little activity by Capitol Parkway and Auburn Road right now because there's very little traffic. I don't know what the count is. Maybe Paul could tell us what the count is. But nobody's going to move a business in there if they can't get the traffic. No bank is going to loan money and put money up when there's not a lot of activity. In the 2004 comprehensive plan, that area was designated as manufacturing. Galloway sat on the committee. Well, about a year ago, we found out they're turning away manufacturing companies. A gentleman that owned a company who lives in Mount Royal had to build on Tyler Boulevard in Mentor because we didn't support him here in Concord. The best tax base we have is manufacturing. I mean, so where is the plan? Where is our overall, what are we doing in our township? You know, you spent $500,000 on a Chicago firm to show us how we could become another Hudson with high-density housing, restaurants, and stores and so forth in the area that was designated as manufacturing. It was changed in 2015 to non-manufacturing, or a combination of both. But it seems like we're changing the plan and we're not sticking with what I thought was a darn good comprehensive plan in 2004. We want to keep Concord semi-rural. We don't want to look like Hudson. And as far as this levy for the fire department is concerned, I think we do need a couple new fire departments. It's a good idea. But I think we should be very careful as to how we go about it and how we spend that money. And I would promote the idea that we not have a levy, although I lost my argument with Andy. We not have a levy. We go with the JED funds, and we go with a 15, 20-year bond. Thank you for your time. Did you have any questions, comments? No, I got to get a drink of water.
All right, anybody else from the audience? I'll close the audience portion. So real quickly, just to kind of summarize or respond to some of the comments, and either one of you can step in. Mrs. Brewster, thank you very much for your information. We will check on that. You know, we haven't made any decisions yet. You know, we are still crunching numbers, and I agree with you that the proportion of the fire station and town hall looks, you know, concerning. That being said, we're trying to build this thing from the inside out, and we're going to work on, the outside facade and what that would look like, and elevations, as we make sure that we at least have what our firefighters need inside. The dollars and cents, we're always looking to crunch down, and financing. We'll look at some of these other ones. I'm very familiar with some of these other projects. And so we will go ahead and look at that. But I think you would see that I'm looking to see whether or not how in line those other projects are with like a Station 2 compared to our in our Station 1. So we'll go ahead and look at that. Mr. Hack, with all due respect, I have no idea what you mean about bouncing around with regards to this board and decisions of what we're doing with our fire department. We have made, we've had several studies. I think we've been on a slow and steady pace of what is required. There are questions that township officials would ask, or trustees or residents would ask, and I think we've gotten answers back to them about issues. So if that's those are items that we had to run up the flagpole, make sure that we were doing our due diligence in making sure that we're making right decisions as we go forward. Mrs. Kangas, thank you very much. I agree with you with respect to some items. With regards to the continuous levies that we do have, those are for policing and fire. Those are operational. Those are what pays salaries and make sure that we have the firefighters and the police officers that we need for our safety. Those are things that were through time passed over and over again, and then placed on it as continuous. The same thing with the road levies, and those dollars and cents. We're very sensitive making sure that those dollars and cents go, back directly to the township residents. So they're making sure that we are getting our dollars and cents worth for in our police force, and we're always monitoring the sheriff's department. Every month we're making sure that we're getting what we're supposed to be getting out of them. Our fire chief is making sure that we're getting what we're supposed to be getting out of each of our firefighters. And we swore 2 of them in today, and I'm very impressed on the work that we get and the services we get from the fire department and our sheriff's department. And Mr. Patterson, with respect to the study that you mentioned, both Jim Gills and I, when that study came out, that study was done for what's called a local access break. It's required when there are federal dollars and state dollars given on Route 44 to break into that road and create something like Capitol Parkway. You have to perform a study. So both Jim Gills and I went down. At the time, the Governor Strickland was in office, Lorraine Fenney was in office. We met down with the ODOT director and discussed that Baker study with him for the allowance of the local access break. Afterwards, then, they were then reviewing, and there was another study had to be completed so that ODOT will then determine how we're going to move traffic throughout with the local access break. ODOT required that change. You certainly cannot believe that I would suggest that, or any trustee or anybody who didn't have an engineering degree to suggest that we would like to close an access that the township currently has that goes across 44 and change that traffic pattern. But that was done by ODOT. It was done for safety reasons. It was required by them. It is clear. You can ask Mr. Gills over and over again. We will have continued conversation about that, but all I can tell you is that that is true. Additionally, with regards to the funding of that road project, there was, although that project cost approximately $13 million, that was not funded with all well, it wasn't funded with any levy monies whatsoever or any general fund money. There was funding created by the JED dollars, and additionally there were monies given by ODOT and other grants, and that's how that road was funded. So Concord Township did not pay that large dollar amount.
Oh, why didn't you accept the first study? It was you guys that stopped the first
Bob,
study.
there's no question in front of you. The audience portion is done. The study was accepted, and the study was accepted by the Strickland administration and ODOT to allow for the local access break. As you in a study is a study. So the way then traffic moves is you actually have to have an engineer, and they go ahead and determine how traffic flows and how it does. And so those require plans. And so during the planning phase is when ODOT required the change in how that traffic moves. Now, if you think that a township trustee could tell ODOT how to change the traffic pattern, then you are just not understanding how ODOT works. As I told you before, it required the county engineer's office to go down there to talk to ODOT originally. So, and I know that because I picked them up and drove them down there.
After you had the plan that you liked.
That was back in, like, I think 2008, because I don't think any plans were approved for that road project until probably 10 or 11.
It was before I became fiscal officer. So it was sometime between 2008 and 2009.
So, want to add anything, Ken?
No, you did
Carl?
well.
Yeah, Mr. Hack, I have just a few comments in regards to what your statements that you made. You know, I'm coming new into this game, so as part of my responsibility to be a trustee, I did my due diligence as far as reading what a trustee's responsibilities are. Part of that involved reviewing the Ohio Fire Chiefs study on the fire station project. I read it from front to back. In doing so, and with my public safety background and learning what the trustees have done in the past, I disagree with your contention that it's like throwing spaghetti on the wall, because, you know, these trustees, and what I've seen in working with Chief Sabo and what the study showed, is that there was a need to sustain the growth of this community by investing in our public safety. I think we both agree that we know we need to, you know, build new fire stations. And doing our due diligence, I think, is going through maybe different renditions or variations to make sure that, one, we're being fiscally responsible, and two, it's the best designed to meet the township's needs. So I think what I've seen in a review of this documentation and the studies, that I don't know if you've read, but if you read them and you read the assessment, the facility assessment, they both need to be replaced. I mean, they've reached their life expectancy. There's no reason that our firemen should have to be exposed to contaminants or have their turnout gear intermingled with contaminants and not have decon rooms and things of that nature. But in doing so, we're working together to go over different variations, and we've had discussions since I've taken over as the newly appointed trustee to sort of bounce ideas off each other, and I don't really take that as throwing spaghetti against the wall. I think it's being a responsible trustee to go over and say, what's the best design, what will best serve the community's needs. So with that, I came into this late in the game, but I can tell you that the trustees, the existing trustees, have really done a phenomenal job of being patient and methodical before deciding what they're going to do as far as this project.
Thank you. I'll certainly give the details of what I didn't say at the next meeting, so thank you very much.
I will also tell everybody that with regards to, you know, fire station, you know, the JED is going to pay, you know, a large chunk of what we're going to do with regards to these fire stations. But that also means that, you know, we still have to you know, mine our P's and Q's as we go through and look at what they're going to cost and how we will fund the rest of them. You know, bonding bonds generally are 20 years. There are some limitations of what townships can do with regards to bonds because we are a township and we're not a city. We have engaged Concord residents who do bonds and are experienced in that, and we will continue to talk to to them with regards to what our options are. And I certainly understand, you know, people's positions with regards to continuous levies. With that, let's move on to our decision for our public hearing for the text amendments of Concord Township zoning resolutions. So we have amendment number 1, section 5, definition 5.028, which had a list of several definitions, or at least redefining those definitions. This was passed unanimously. Section 5, or Amendment 1, Section 5, Definition 5.02A definitions. I would ask that we have a motion to approve the amendments, and I would ask that would be a roll call vote once we have a motion in a second.
Okay, I would move that we approve Amendment 1, which is Section 5 definitions, 5.02A. And should I read all this?
No.
Okay. All right, I move.
I'll second that.
Roll call?
Mrs. Luda?
Yes.
Mr. Dondorfer?
Yes.
Mr. Melchesky?
Yes.
I'll make a motion that we approve amendment number 2, section 4, general requirements.
Second?
All right, roll call?
Mr. Dondorfer?
Yes.
Mrs. Luda?
Yes.
Mr. Melchesky?
Yes.
And I will move that we approve Amendment number 3, Section 11, zoning permit.
I'll second.
Roll call?
Mrs. Luda?
Yes.
Mr. Dondorfer?
Yes.
Mr. Melchesky?
Yes.
I'll make a motion to approve amendment 4 regarding conditional use permit.
Second?
Roll call?
Mrs. Luda?
Yes.
Mr. Dondorfer?
Yes.
Mr. Melchesky?
Yes.
I will move that we approve Amendment number 5, Section 15, residential districts.
I'll second that.
Roll call?
Mrs. Luda?
Yes.
Mr. Dondorfer?
Yes.
Mr. Melchesky?
Yes.
I'll make a motion to approve amendment 6, section 14, R2 planned unit development district and residential conservation development district.
Second?
Roll call?
Mr. Dondorfer?
Yes.
Mrs. Luda?
Yes.
Mr. Melchesky?
Yes.
I will move to approve Amendment number 7, Section 22, commercial and industrial districts.
I'll second.
Roll call?
Mr. Melchesky?
Yes.
Mrs. Luda?
Yes.
Mr. Dondorfer?
Yes.
There's amendment number 8, section 29, off-street parking. I'm asking that we go ahead and approve that with a slight change by leaving 29.10B4, allowing that section, former section to remain.
I'll second that. I mean, I'll
You move
I'll
that?
make a motion to that.
I'll second.
Roll call?
Mrs. Luda?
Yes.
Mr. Dondorfer?
Yes.
Mr. Melchesky?
Yes.
I'll make a motion to approve amendment 9, section 30, signs.
Second?
Roll call?
Mr. Melchesky?
Yes.
Mr. Dondorfer?
Yes.
Mrs. Luda?
Yes.
I'll make a motion to approve amendment 10, section 31, swimming pools.
Second?
Roll call?
Hold on a second. Mrs. Luda?
Yes.
Mr. Melchesky?
Yes.
Mr. Dondorfer?
Yes.
I make a motion that we approve Amendment number 11, Section 37, design standards.
I'll second.
Roll call?
Mrs. Luda?
Yes.
Mr. Melchesky?
Yes.
Mr. Dondorfer?
Yes. Make a motion to approve amendment 12, landscape and screening requirements.
Second.
Roll call?
Mr. Dondorfer?
Yes.
Mrs. Luda?
Yes.
Mr. Melchewski?
Yes. Okay, I would ask for a motion to approve May financial reports.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Resolution 2019-10 authorizing the execution of an agreement between the Lake County Board of Commissioners and the Concord Township Trustees for maintenance of a traffic roundabout at the intersection of Auburn Road and Capitol Parkway. This is the roundabout on Auburn Road and Capitol Parkway. There's been significant discussions between the Township Legal Counsel and the county and legal counsel and the county engineer's office on how that we will maintain the roundabout section, cut the grass, make road repairs in that area. We finally come to that agreement, and I would ask for a motion on that.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Well, there's 2 copies here, and then there's the agreement that has to be signed.
As you're signing that, there's a PO in the administration department for an amount not to exceed $9,565 to CIMS by Randmaker for cemetery software.
I'll move to approve.
I'll second.
All in favor, say aye.
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 There's also a PO in amount of, for the administration department, not to exceed $9,722 to Mott's Excavating for demolition of a building located at 11717 Concord Hamden Road for the expansion of the cemetery.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
There's another PO for the fire department, amount of not to exceed $9,350 with a bunch of extra zeros and cents to AC Rattery and Construction Inc. for the demolition of the building located at 6955 North Meadow Drive.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
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 There's also a PO in amount of $11,136 to Atwell's for ballistic vests. These are exactly what you think they are. They are vests to repel bullets from our firefighters, and so those are new things that we've never had to deal with.
Right.
Sign of the times.
In
Yes.
years. So $11,136 is a PO. Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion to.
Second.
Okay, second?
Yep.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
There's also a PO in amount of $13,764 to Warren Fire for turnout gear. That's again also for the fire department, and that is their gear that they wear on their bodies when firefighting.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right, so we also have a contract for continuation of the fire station design for amount not to exceed $240,942.50 to LeMay Erickson Architects. This is just a contract. This is each section. This is for a total. Each section will be reviewed and approved by a PO as we work through this. This is to continue our investigation and our discussion and our design for these fire stations.
And that money is coming out of our capital projects fund, which is funded through hotel tax.
Correct.
Okay. I so move.
I'll second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. We need a vote on a PO in amount of $10,058 to 5 Star Painting for repainting of the community center and gazebo.
So moved.
So moved. Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right, and then just as an announcement, we had and approved a new seasonal employee, a college intern, which is Hannah, that everybody met earlier today, on June 3rd, 2019, for a period not to exceed 12 weeks at $13.50 per hour. Future meetings and announcements. We have the BZA meeting on June 12th at 7 p.m. On June 13th at 7 p.m. we'll have the summer concert series, which is Blackjack Gypsies, and that's going to be at Town Hall's gazebo. Will it be painted by then yet? Potentially. We will have a meeting Wednesday, June 19th at 6:30 at trustees' office hours. At 7:30, trustees' office, our trustees' meeting will be here. On June 22nd at 3 p.m., we will have the firehouse, our fire station open house and history that starts at the Old Stone Schoolhouse. Is that correct, Deb?
Yes.
And then you can come and review the fire stations afterwards. And then let's not forget, August 10th is our community centers, our community days. And August 11th will be our safety day right afterwards. So I guess you guys will be here to clean up earlier then.
Don't forget about brush day this
Okay.
weekend.
Anyway, we will not forget about brush day this weekend, and that's from what time?
8 a.m. until 2 p.m.
8 a.m. to 2 p.m. So we will see you guys up here for brush day. Thank you, and we'll close the meeting.
Thank you.